I think, you know, the only sin we could have made making this movie is to make it pedestrian. And, you know, it's not who he is.
Well, he's at the heart of the whole movie.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the relationship between the two of you. You as Elton John and Jamie Bell as Bernie Taupin.
Absolutely, it is the beating heart, you know, this extraordinary musical artistic partnership. It's the central love story of the film, you know, this platonic love story between two young men who set each other alight creatively and, you know, as Elton said, find the brother in each other that they never had.
Well, one of my favorite scenes in the film is the one that I think is the huge, huge pivot moment when you're at the piano and you're putting your song into music.
Well, one, it's one of the most beautiful songs ever written, but we, out of the rehearsal process, decided that rather than make it a romantic declaration of love, we were going to treat it as a platonic love song and make it about each other. So in the performance of it, we wanted it very much to be about the two of them. I always wanted it to feel more like they were discovering it than writing it, because I think that's more, because then they become witnesses in the creation of this thing. And when it's always more affecting to watch someone witnessing something. I think if you watch a tragedy or something incredibly moving, it's always more moving if you can see someone reacting to it. And I always wanted it to feel like, when writing your song, that it was almost something that they were channeling from the heavens. And so when you are watching Elton writing your song and he's reading the lyrics, you can see that he is being delighted and surprised by it, and I think that's hopefully more emotionally affecting.
Yours are the sweetest eyes I've ever seen, and you can tell everybody this is your song.
There's really a great deal that I've done before to suggest that I would be capable of taking this on, really. I've been involved.
You can sing.
Yes, yeah. Although I don't think sure, it's something I'm very proud of, and it's a talent, and it's one that lots of people have, but I don't believe that it's the most difficult thing about portraying Elton John. I think he's an extremely complex, nuanced character. It was more doing justice to his persona and the extremity of who he is, and his great warmth, but also his great capacity for you know, his charisma, his bravado, his tempestuousness. You know, he is, as we all are, a lot of contradictions, but I just feel they're all the more extreme with Elton, and I think it was doing justice to all of that frightened me more than the singing, although of course that is an intimidating thing as well.
And I think it's gonna be a long, long time.
The other thing I love about the movie is how sexy you are with Richard Madden.
Thank you very much.
Serious chemistry going on there.
Richard Madden and I aim to please. Yeah, he and I struck up a really strong friendship very quickly, and it's one that has endured, and we're still, I think, you know, friends for life, I think. And he's an incredibly supportive scene partner, and, you know, was a little more, his involvement, you know, on a day-to-day basis was less consistent than mine, obviously, but he was always a great support and someone who always had a kind word and was always asking me how I was doing, and I just felt a great fondness for him. And so when we came to doing that scene, it's always so much easier to navigate those, you know, filming intimacy, I think, is always a difficult thing, although I don't have a lot of experience of it.
You can do anything you want. You can be anyone you want. And it's going to be a wild ride.
Because I think we did feel a weight of responsibility with it. We had been led to believe that it was, you know, going to be one of, if not the first time, that male intimacy had been depicted in a studio movie in that way. And of course, there are some amazing examples in independent cinema, but our understanding is that this is the first time in a movie of this size. And this felt like there was a weight of responsibility to that. And that's the way we approached everything in the film. You know, Elton's sexuality was we always wanted to make it, at that point the relationship hasn't gone sour. It's just two young people in love who are hugely attracted to each other. And we wanted it to feel that way. The giddy, nervous excitement of it, the, you know, the kind of clunky, clumsy joy of it, you know? That's what we all experience at some point. And one of the things that Dexter and I always talked about when we were making the film is this idea of home. Where is home? You know, why does Elton go on this extraordinary journey? What is it that leads him to achieve in this way, but also what is he moving away from? And there is no going home from him. That was the idea that drove my version of Elton, my character. You can't go home because home isn't an option. And he finds home. He finds home in Bernie, and that's where it really is. But somewhere he gets lost on the way, and he thinks that it's in other places. John Reed's, a certain type of hedonistic lifestyle, and those ideas are misguided and turn out to not be right. But that was the one thing that I really latched onto as being a driving force behind the character and why he does what he does, because he's looking for home. Which is why when he sat on the Starship plane with Bernie, and Bernie says, I need a break for a while, I'm going home, and Elton has this extraordinarily kind of acerbic, angry reaction. It's because it's an ultimate betrayal, because Elton can't go home. So when Bernie says, I need to, it's the equivalent of him saying, I'm not in love with you anymore, I'm going to find someone else, which is why he's so awful to him.
We should go home, Elton. Reconnect. No, you should go. There are other writers I'd like to work with anyway. They'd be good. Collaborate with other people. I think it's a really good idea.
What did you have to do to look like him?
So there were things I did. I always knew. So the initial plan was to put me in a bald cap for the whole movie and then put wigs over the top. And I just felt that I wanted to immerse myself in it completely. And so we actually kind of thinned my hair, and we shaved my hairline up higher than nature already has, and dyed it. And then I also put on a bit of weight, because Elton's weight has also been kind of constantly in flux throughout his life. And then we had a great makeup team who, the one thing, and I had to battle incredibly hard to get this, but the gap in between his teeth, because I think the feeling was that it was a lot of work and it would be complicated in terms of consistency and CG and stuff. I essentially, it's the one thing I essentially put my foot down and said it was happening. And the costs would have to be what they were, because it's so iconically him. It's part of his, not his silhouette, but his rudimentary shape. He's got the eyebrows, these beefy eyebrows. I didn't want to wear a fake nose, because that all of a sudden then felt like messing with the mechanics of my face, which isn't something that I wanted to do. But the gap in the teeth and those eyebrows, and then of course you have glasses and sideburns, and I wear wigs in the earlier part of the film to give myself a more complete head of hair. And then of course in the very final part of the film I do wear a bald cap, just for the last few scenes and the recovery stuff where he really has very little left.
And then the costumes. I mean, you just have to have fun with that. It helps, right?
Of course, what a joy, I mean, I always knew that I was going to get some incredible things to wear in the film, but I think what I really loved most was how creative Julian was with his design, and they were always reimaginings of what Elton wore, so they're kind of recognisable but also new. So in the character of Elton, whether it be something you are wearing just when you're at home in the LA house, and it's a robe and a pair of hot pants, or whether it's this extraordinary piece of stage wear. They were always great facilitators in me kind of feeling like him and becoming him.
And moving like him?
Yeah, of course. He's got great weight and great swagger, and his weight is very much in his hips. And there is something about wearing something empowering that makes your weight sink in your body. Not all Elton's costumes are like that, but, you know, some of them are impractical in the extreme.
Yeah, they picked the most outrageous one for the one you have to wear through the whole movie.
Yeah, I love that costume. That was an incredible bit of design, and there's so much in it that I could deconstruct. You know, the wonderful, you know, the basic silhouette is Elvis, which is a bit of a theme in the movie. The Elvis being a real kind of idol of his. But then, of course, there's the element of the angelic and the demonic and these looking for love through the heart-shaped glasses. Also the wings, if you notice, make a silhouette of a heart around him. And then also as well, I do wear, Elton gave me a diamond earring, the first one he ever bought in about 1972, just before we started filming. And so I wear that for all of those scenes as well. And when you see that when I remove my neoprene headpiece, you do see that I am wearing Elton's first ever diamond earring, which is in the shape of a heart.